So, you think you know a place from a postcard, a news clip, a bowl of pho slurped down in some strip mall back home? Vietnam? The name itself conjures 1,000 images, a Rorschach test of history, beauty, and a resilience that's damn near mythical. I'm Houston, and I'm here to tell you, whatever you think you know, you probably don't know the half of it. This isn't just a country, it's a current, a force of nature squeezed into an S shape that seems to pulse with a life all its own. We're peeling back the layers, not just the tourist-friendly veneer, but the weird, the wonderful, the stuff that makes you lean in and say, wait, what? It's about understanding how a place gets under your skin, how its contradictions can be the most compelling things about it. We're talking about a land where ancient traditions rub shoulders with a relentless modernity, where the ghosts of the past aren't just remembered, they're practically roommates with the vibrant present. Forget the filtered Instagram shots for a minute. We're going for the unfiltered truth, the kind that's often messy but always more interesting. So buckle up, or maybe just find a good plastic stool on a crowded sidewalk because we're about to dive headfirst into the heart of Vietnam. From its improbable geography to the quiet strength of its people, from the chaotic ballet of its streets to customs that might make your eyebrows shoot up to your hairline, this is Vietnam, raw and real, a place that never fails to surprise, to challenge, and ultimately to captivate. Let's get into it. You look at a map, and there it is, this long, sinuous curve of land, hugging the edge of Vietnam isn't just on the way, it is the way. Alright, let's talk about something that invariably catches the eye. Something that's whispered about in travelogues and celebrated in art. The beauty of Vietnamese women. Now, beauty, that's a loaded word, isn't it? Subjective, culturally defined, often a minefield. But there's a certain something here, an undeniable presence that goes beyond just physical features. It's a kind of quiet strength, a resilience that seems to emanate from within. Insider Monkey, whoever they are, apparently ranks Vietnam high on the list of Asian countries with beautiful women. Okay, fine, lists are lists. But what does that even mean? Is it the often praised smooth skin, the dark, expressive eyes that, yes, do seem to hold a smile even in repose? Perhaps. But I think it's more than just a checklist of attributes. It's in the way they move, the way they carry themselves. There's a gentleness, a perceived softness that can be deceptive, because beneath that often serene exterior is a core of pure steel. These are women who have seen hardship, who have endured, who have rebuilt families and communities, often with little fanfare. That kind of strength, that's a beauty all its own, isn't it? It's not fragile, it's formidable. You see it in the markets, the women who are up before dawn, their faces illuminated by the single bulb hanging over their stall, their hands deftly arranging produce, haggling with a sharp wit. There's an elegance even in the most mundane tasks, a precision, a focus. They are the backbone of so many families, the keepers of tradition, the engines of the everyday economy. And then there's the Ao Dai, that iconic traditional dress. It's the epitome of grace, flowing, elegant, accentuating a certain silhouette. When you see a woman gliding down a street on a bicycle, her aodai fluttering behind her, it's like a scene from a dream, a timeless image. But it's not just a costume, it's a statement of identity, of cultural pride. So when we talk about the beauty of Vietnamese women, let's try to see beyond the surface. Chapter 3. Rivers of Steel. The two-wheeled soul of Vietnam. If there's one sound, one image, that defines the sensory overload of urban Vietnam, it's the motorbike. Not just a motorbike, but millions of them. A teeming, pulsing, metallic river that flows through every city street, every country lane. It's not just a mode of transport, it's the lifeblood of the nation, the very rhythm of daily existence. Forget your preconceived notions of traffic, this is something else entirely. The numbers are staggering. 72 to 75 million registered motorbikes as of 2024. Think about that. In a country of around 100 million people, that means nearly 3/4 of the population owns one. For every 100 people, there are 75 motorbikes. That's not a statistic, that's a societal phenomenon. Nations that pride themselves on their love of speed, on their car culture, they'd have to tip their hats to this. This is next-level commitment to two-wheeled freedom. It's a ballet of controlled chaos. At first glance, it looks like utter pandemonium, a disaster waiting to happen at every intersection. Horns beep, engines buzz, a constant thrum that becomes the soundtrack to your life here. But watch closely, and you start to see the patterns, the unspoken rules, the intricate dance that somehow, most of the time, keeps everything moving. It's like a school of fish, each rider an individual, yet part of a collective flowing organism. These aren't just simple A to B machines. Oh no. A motorbike in Vietnam is a family car, a delivery truck, a mobile shop, a romantic chariot. You'll see entire families perched precariously, dad driving, mom behind him, a kid or two sandwiched in between, maybe another one standing on the footrest up front. It's a testament to balance, to ingenuity, and perhaps to a certain disregard for what others might consider safety regulations. Then there are the loads they carry. Towering stacks of goods that defy gravity, baskets of live chickens, enormous panes of glass, pyramids of plastic chairs, entire trees. Things you wouldn't believe could be transported on two wheels are somehow strapped on, balanced, and navigated through the teeming streets with a nonchalant skill that's breathtaking. These riders are artists of logistics, masters of the improbable. The motorbike is freedom. In a country with developing public transport infrastructure, especially outside the major cities, the motorbike is the key to mobility. It allows people to get to work, to school, to market, to visit family. It connects rural communities to urban centers. It's an equalizer, in a way, accessible to a vast swath of the population. Chapter 4. Sidewalk shaves and other street scenes, the unofficial rulebook. You step off the plane, you walk out of your air-conditioned hotel, and bam, Vietnam hits you. Not in a bad way necessarily, but in a Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore kind of way. Things you thought were, well, illegal or at least frowned upon back home are just life here. Part of the scenery, part of the vibrant, chaotic, utterly compelling culture. And it's not just tolerated, it's embraced. First up, the sidewalk barber. Forget your fancy salons, your appointment-only reservations, your hushed tones and cucumber water. Here, all you need is a patch of pavement, a small plastic stool, maybe two, one for you, one for the barber, a mirror propped up against a wall or hanging from a tree, and a few well-worn tools of the trade. Clippers buzzing, scissors snipping right there in the open air as the world rushes by. It's a beautiful piece of street theater. The barber, often an older gentleman, his face a roadmap of experience, working with a practiced, unhurried calm. The customer, leaning back, surrendering to the process, maybe catching up on local gossip or just watching the endless parade of motorbikes. There's an intimacy to it, a public vulnerability that's strangely charming. No pretense, just a simple service rendered with skill. And it's not just haircuts. You can get a shave, a quick trim, maybe even an ear cleaning. A uniquely Vietnamese experience that involves an array of tiny, specialized tools and a level of trust you might not be prepared for. It's all part of the sidewalk service industry. These aren't fly-by-night operations. These are institutions, fixtures of the neighborhood, often in the same spot for years, decades even. Think about the sheer practicality of it. Low overheads, maximum visibility. Your shop is wherever you set up your stool. It's entrepreneurialism at its most grassroots, and it serves a real need, a quick, affordable haircut without any fuss. It's a democratic service available to everyone. The businessman on his lunch break, the student, the cyclo driver, but it's more than just convenience. Chapter 5. Whispers from the Highlands, Love, Tradition, and a Different Kind of Courtship. Vietnam isn't a monolith, far from it. Beyond the bustling cities and the well-trodden tourist paths, there are other worlds, other ways of life. Head up into the mountains, into the remote highlands, and you'll find communities that have held on to their ancient traditions with a fierce pride. We're talking about the ethnic minorities, the Hmong, the Dao, the Tay, and many others, each with their own unique customs, some of which might sound, well, pretty damn strange to an outsider. Let's talk about one in particular, the Hmong custom of bride kidnapping, or Zai Poj Niam. Now hold on, before your 21st century sensibilities send you screaming for the hills, let's unpack this. The term itself is jarring, loaded, but in its traditional context, it's not what it sounds like. It's a complex courtship ritual, a deeply ingrained part of their cultural heritage, though one that's also evolving and facing scrutiny in the modern world. The way it's often described by those within the culture is this. A young man and woman have already formed a connection. They've met, perhaps at a festival, they've talked, they've fallen in love, or at least have a mutual understanding. The kidnapping isn't a violent abduction of a stranger, it's more like a prearranged elopement, a symbolic act that formalizes the couple's intention to marry, often with a degree of consent from the young woman, even if it's a passive or culturally understood consent. The young man, usually with the help of his friends or family, will capture the girl and take her to his home. This isn't done in secret under the cloak of darkness necessarily. It's often a somewhat public affair, understood by the community as a step towards marriage. Once she's at his home, his family will then formally approach her family to negotiate the marriage, discuss dowries, and plan the wedding. Outro: the lingering taste, what Vietnam leaves behind. So what do you take away from a place like Vietnam? A few extra pounds from all that incredible food, sure. A camera roll full of images that still don't quite capture the organized chaos of a Hanoi intersection or the serene beauty of a rice paddy at dawn. But it's more than that, isn't it? Vietnam gets under your skin, not like an infection, but like a memory that keeps replaying, a flavor you can't quite place but desperately want to taste again. It's a place of profound contradictions, and that's where its true beauty lies. You come here looking for the exotic, maybe the other, and you find it in the ancient temples, in the customs that feel worlds away from your own, but then you also find the familiar, the universal human stuff, the hustle to make a living, the love of family, the laughter shared over a cheap beer on a plastic stool, the quiet dignity in the face of hardship. It's a reminder that for all our differences, we're all just trying to figure this thing out. Vietnam doesn't give you easy answers.